In section 80, Tennyson is imagining that he dies first and Hallam is the one who lives for years on Earth alone. And he imagines that Hallam would use the same pain, the same ache, and the same burden to fuel or inspire great acts of uh, um, community service or governmental service, so that Hallam would use his pain to motivate great things in life, and that idea brings comfort to Tennyson. He says that would set him free. If he were dead and he knew that his friend were using his pain to great ends, that he would feel some freedom from that. Line 4, dropped the dust on tearless eyes. Drop the dust is to bury, like you're filling in the hole over the casket. And the tearless eyes would be Tennyson's eyes. If he had died first, he wouldn't have experienced the pain that he's experiencing here, so his eyes would have been tearless. Line 5, fancy shapes as fancy can. Again, that's his imagination. So he's imagining this situation. I don't fully understand line 8, 7 and 8. A grief as deep as life or thought, but stayed in peace with God and man. So he's imagining maybe that Hallam would have had deep grief, but he would have stayed in peace with God and man, as opposed to Tennyson, who I think views himself as a bit of a heretic, or he's just not certain about God and religion, and I think that's what he's saying there. The word burthen, that's in line 11 and 12, is an older version of the word burden. So Hallam would bear the burden of the weeks and months of years of feeling alone and feeling the loss of his friend. But he would turn that burden to gain. And then the last two lines, 15 and 16, unused example from the grave, reach out dead hands to comfort me. He's either praying for Hallam to reach out from the grave and comfort him, and Hallam is the unused example because Hallam didn't have to go through this, or he's praying that this fantasy, this daydream, the unused example, this daydream that isn't real, he's praying for some comfort from this fantasy or fancy, as he calls it. Section 80. If any vague desire should rise, that holy death, ere Arthur died, had moved me kindly from his side, and dropped the dust on tearless eyes, then fancy shapes as fancy can the grief my loss in him had wrought, a grief as deep as life or thought, but stayed in peace with God and man. I make a picture in the brain. I hear the sentence that he speaks. He bears the burthen of the weeks, but turns his burthen into gain. His credit thus shall set me free, and influence rich to soothe and save. Unused example from the grave, reach out dead hands to comfort me.